What is good, YouTube? This is your boy Aaron.
It's Brian.
This is the Courtside View podcast, and we are actually less than a week away from the
4 days,
NFL draft.
4 or 5 days, yeah.
Yo, Thursday is almost here. I'm excited, man. I'm
Um,
excited for
what?
this year. I have been studying a lot about just different prospects that I would love the Packers to consider in the first round, right? You know me. Hey, we got to get a receiver or an edge rusher. Please don't get an edge rusher. That's a project. We need somebody with production, and it's just a lot to consider. I want to get to the final mock drafts because a lot of information is coming out, and you learned something, Brian. I remember off camera we talked about a prospect that we both like a lot, but then you heard something that is very concerning. So I just thought we could talk about it a little bit after we look at some of the mock drafts. Let me see, which one should I go to? Let me go to the NFL.com one. Let's see. Matter of fact, let me see if Todd McShay. I know Todd McShay. I was looking at The Athletic, and he hasn't posted one yet. Let me see if I can find Todd McShay's mock draft.
I found a method to bypass articles with subscriptions you got to watch. If you go to archive.is and paste the link, it'll give you a snapshot of the entire article without having to pay a subscription for it.
Really? So Mel Kiper?
Yep, I did it for ESPN Plus and it worked. Allegedly. You don't sue us. Allegedly it worked.
Hey, if you try to do that right now.
Okay.
try to do the Mel Kiper mock draft right now, because I think I saw his mock draft, one of his recent mock drafts on Reddit. So it's like, Mel Kiper mock draft 2025.
The one he did with Phil Yates, that's the one you talk about?
I guess
that's
so.
The most recent one he did. So that's the one with Phil Yates.
Yeah, you can do that one. Yeah, go right ahead. If you can share your screen, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that for you.
All right. So Mel Kiper, top draft analyst for ESPN, probably the most famous draft analyst. So we'll react to him. I saw a little bit of his mock draft. They do a show together on ESPN. It's on YouTube. So I saw a little bit of it, but I don't think they showed the entirety of the top 32. But I saw like maybe all the way to like the Packers pick. But yeah, man, I'm hearing a lot of names. Michael Williams going to the Packers, which I would probably throw my TV if I see Michael Williams going to the Packers. But I've been seeing it seems like a consensus that the Cowboys will either go running back or receiver. It seems like offensive skill position seems like that's where the Cowboys are going to go. Do you believe that's going to be what happens, or do you feel like they're going to go into a different direction, maybe like offensive linemen or something?
I 1,000% agree with we're going offensive weapon. So like wide receiver, most likely. Yeah. I've been hearing a lot of Ted McMillan and Matthew Golden. It's like a lot of mock draft people are flopping in between both of them. So they must have something. And I don't think, can I share my screen? Because sometimes it be acting stupid.
Yeah. So go to present, share screen, press share screen, and then on your it'll have like the tab on there, and you can just press the tab. There you go.
All right, here it is. Mel Kiper and Phil Yates.
Yes.
Hopefully the Illuminati doesn't get us for sharing such information, but
let's go.
So as you see, you got all that first pick. Obviously, you got Cam Ward. Not surprised. Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
A
You
lot
know what?
recently in the past week. A lot of
Let's stop.
Travis Hunter to
Let's
Brown.
stop there. Let's stop there. So let me say this. Browns and Giants. I understand. I do. And you know what? At first, I was like, yo, you got to get a quarterback. But then I had to remember years ago, I don't want to be a hit. I don't want to contradict my points on drafting a quarterback and my philosophy because I remember we talked about the idea of teams drafting a quarterback and not having the talent around them. A head coach is on the hot seat. The talent isn't all that great. So in this scenario, I don't want to be like, you know what, they got to draft a quarterback, and it's not a good situation. Because if you remember, a lot of quarterbacks fail because they're not in the right system, they don't have the right coaching, they don't have the requisite talent. Now with Shador, I do believe the Cleveland Browns do have some talent. I think their offensive line play has regressed, and their offensive weapons. They have Njoku, what Judy. He's okay, but I wouldn't want him as a
Judy had a
one.
pretty good year last
He
year.
had a pretty good year, but they don't have like a whole lot of offensive weapons like they did maybe 3 or 4 years ago. You know, Nick Chubb, he's a free agent still. Their running game is not all that great, so they're very limited offensively. They're not what they once were, and I think at this moment, Kevin Stefanski, yeah, he's a decent coach. He knows offense, but I just think it's too much to overcome. It's too much for Shador, and I believe Shador. I've been hearing a lot as of late in terms of his play. I do like Shador. I do think he's going to be a good quarterback. But he needs to go into a situation where they don't rush him. And I believe with the Browns, this could potentially be a nightmare because they're going to need his services. And I believe he needs to sit some weeks starting in the season before you say, hey, Shador, I need you to come off the bench for us. We need your capabilities. I just don't want him to be on the Cleveland Browns. And I understand why the Giants and the Cleveland Browns would do that. That's why the Giants brought in Russell Wilson because they're trying to win now. Brian Dable, he's on the clock. And Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter going 2 and 3. I'm not mad at that. I think you don't want to bring in a quarterback that's not ultra talented to try to overcome a mess. And I can see why teams would not want to draft Shador early. So that's just my thoughts on the Shador situation. You can share your screen again, but that's just me. What about you? How did you feel about what I just said?
Like you said, we always been a preacher of QB situation matters more than the talent the QB has, and I don't think the Browns are a very attractive spot for a young QB simply because their offense has been gutted as of over the years. Like Jerry Judy being your number one receiver isn't ideal. And Njoku's still good. He's still one of the better tight ends in the league, but he's not Gronk or anything. He's no Brock Bowers or anything like that. So, and then your run game, you have Jerome Ford, who's a solid change of pace back, but Jerome Ford can't be your leading back as of now. It's just they just have too many holes and question marks on the offensive end, and the scheme isn't all that great. And even the defense with all the talent they got, they haven't been playing at the elite level you would expect them to be. So it's just too many question marks for QB to come and try to fix things. And I don't think the Browns are operating from a mindset of we have some years to figure it out. I feel like they want to win as soon as possible. And that is not the way they've been doing things is not indicative of that. So I don't think Shador would thrive in that system.
No. And then the Giants as well. The Giants, they have Malik Neighbors. And their offensive line got a little bit better. But, Andrew Thomas coming off of a major injury. And the running game, Tyron Tracy is pretty solid, but year two, is he still going to be that guy? I don't know. I would probably be more on the doubt than be certain. And then it's the New York Giants. There's a lot of expectations. And Brian Dable, he's on the hot seat. And then the GM, Joe Swain, he's getting criticized. It's just a lot of uncertainty with that team. A lot of drama. I wouldn't want to put that on Shedeur Sanders. I believe the Saints are the perfect situation for him because they don't have a whole lot of expectations. Chris Olave is a decent receiver. Rashid Shaheed, he's a decent receiver. I just like the Saints in this scenario a lot better than those other teams. That's just me. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Saints would be a much better job for Shedeur, especially with a guy like Kellen Moore, who's a former QB, who is now the head coach. And I think Shedeur plays the style of QB that can succeed in the Kellen Moore offense when it comes to processing, making on-time throws and reads. And I don't think Kellen Moore is going to put too much on his plate year one to go about, go Arthur, we need you to throw for 300 yards every game. I don't think that Kellen Moore's going to do so. They're going to rely on Alvin Kamara, probably another back if they choose to draft one. They're going to get some easy completions to Chris Olave because he's a great route runner. And they'll probably go another receiver in the draft. They got Rashid Shaheed, who's a burner. I feel like they have an easier path to create a plan for a young QB to succeed than a Giants or the Browns. So I think Shedeur would be much better suited in the Saints uniform.
And they're in the NFC South. Like,
yes,
it's a lot easier to play.
Think about it. If Shedeur was to go to the Saints, you would have like three QBs within the first 3 years of the season in the same division. You have Bryce Young, Michael Penix, Shedeur. The only oddball out of that one would be Baker. He's still young, so
yeah. I mean, the Buccaneers aren't the greatest team in the world. Like, they're a decent team, but they're not like a juggernaut. This isn't the Eagles and the Commanders that you got to go up against. You're going up against teams that any given Sunday they could lose. Yeah. They could lose. So I wouldn't mind Shedeur in New Orleans. It's not as much expectation on his shoulder, and I think it'll work out a lot more. But yeah, let's continue with the mock draft. I'm just curious. So obviously Abdul Carter at 3.
Yep, Abdul Carter 3. I would hate it, but they're probably not going to re-sign Thibodeau because he just hasn't to his draft position. Why not replace him with a guy that's supposed to be Micah Parsons light? So hey, Will Campbell for the Patriots makes sense. They need offensive line help. I probably would go with Minbow here instead.
Really?
I think Minbow was better than Will Campbell.
Would you trade down?
No, I just take Minbow at 4. I wouldn't trade down.
Really? You would? I think you don't think they could like trade down a little bit, get some extra picks?
I mean, but then again, you have to find someone who wants to trade up. Like who's really trade up worthy at this point?
That's a good point.
Unless a team is coming from the 20s or not even the 20s, like the mid 15s to get a Shedeur. But like other than that, who's really going to trade up? Honestly, so. I just if I have Minbow as my number 1 tackle, I like Will Campbell. He played SEC ball, went up against a lot of good edge rushers, went up against a lot of SEC dudes, James Pierce Jr., Shamar Stewart, Will Anderson, a whole bunch of other dudes. But I feel like his arms are kind of short. Will Campbell, he does have reps where he just gets flat out beat against those top dudes. Which I mean, you're as a tackle, you're not going to win every single rep, but I just feel like Minbow is just a little bit better. I would take him at 4 instead of Will Campbell, but it's still a good pick regardless. Mason Graham, Jacksonville, good pick. Mason Graham is the best DT in the class, in my opinion. Makes sense. Ashton Genty to the Raiders. It makes sense, but I don't believe in taking running backs at 6. I'm sorry. I don't care how much help I need at the position. I don't think the Raiders. I mean, they did get Geno Smith, but your number 1 receiver is still Jacoby Myers. So
that's true. That is true.
Genty, Jets go Minbow, which is
Bow.
good
They do need
because
offensive line help.
yeah, especially since Tyron Smith he wasn't the greatest
He
last
wasn't good with them either. So
year. Yeah, good bolster up that offensive line, give Justin Fields a little more time to process back there. Jalen Walker.
Jalen Walker at 8. Their
I
defense wasn't the greatest. I ain't gonna lie. Their
that
defense was
is
pretty
true,
bad.
but as a Georgia fan, Jalen Walker, he's good. I like Jalen. But the problem is he going to play linebacker or edge?
I think he needs to play edge.
Yeah.
I think that's where you get the most value from him.
Yes, it wasn't Micah Williams, so good pick.
Yeah.
Speaking of Shador to the Saints, makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, the odds makers agree as well that hey, this is looking like a Shador to the odds. They're the number one team for the odds for the Shador sweepstakes, so makes sense. Okay, I have a problem.
I don't think Tyler Warren goes 10. I don't think he goes 10.
Here's my problem with tight ends in the draft. Tight ends are a luxury pick in my opinion. I don't think the Bears are where they need to be spending picks on tight end. Like Tyler Warren, it's not like he's Brock Bowers or anything. Tyler Warren, he's good, but the gap between him and someone like Colston Loveland and Harold Fannin, I don't think it's large enough to justify that pick at number 10, in my opinion. I feel like they could get much more value out of a tackle or actually they address linemen in the offseason, but still you can still never have too many linemen. You can even go defense here.
No, their offensive line still stinks. They need. Oh yeah, you're right. They did go free agency. They did go free agency. I forgot about that. That is right.
You could go D line. Honestly, I feel you could trade down and still get Tyler Warren. But I mean, I guess that's what they want to do. I mean, I know Caleb Williams knows safety nets is tight as a safety nets for young QBs and stuff. So it could help the offense. It would help the offense, but I don't know. I just feel like you got Rome, you got DJ Moore, and Cole Kmet ain't no slouch. He can go out there and make some plays, but I guess you want to spend on a tight end at 10. I mean, hey, I guess Kelvin Banks Jr.
Yeah.
For the 49ers.
Wait. Before we move on, I want to help your point too. I want to improve your point on the Tyler Warren pick. It makes no sense because what I've heard from Tyler Warren, he's not the best blocker in the world. So what I heard, the comparison between what I heard from when in comparison of Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland is more of your traditional tight end, can block. He has receiver capabilities. Obviously, he's not the greatest route runner, but he can still catch. He's still decent enough to be a on any given down. So I believe if they were going to go tight end, I don't think it's Tyler Warren. I think it's Colston Loveland because when you look at Cole Kmet, he's not the best blocker either. So all you're doing is just getting the same type of archetype. Why would you get Tyler Warren and then have Cole Kmet? Like there's no versatility. You have the same archetype. It's like a receiving tight end. Are we being serious right now? That just makes no sense to me. If you're gonna go tight end, you trade back and get Colston Loveland, in my opinion.
Honestly, I don't hate that take. Kelvin Banks Jr. 49, they need a lot of help. Offensive line is not a bad pick. Kelvin Banks is probably my third tackle on the board. So hey, all right, Matthew Golden. I like Matthew Golden as a player. We all know that. We literally had an episode either a week or 2 weeks ago, just raving about Matthew Golden. He's my number 2 receiver, would be number 3. It depends on what Travis Hunter's doing. But my problem with Matthew Golden, he will be the number 2 receiver for the Cowboys. And actually, let me look at this, what it actually says. I thought about North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton, but the possibility Golden's 4.29 speed and great route running opposite of CeeDee Lamb just makes too much sense. Cowboys can finally get some reliability at wide receiver 2 for quarterback Dak Prescott. Haven't had the 2 wide receivers over 700 yards since Lamb and Amari Cooper. So, I like Matthew Golden. I would not hate this pick at 12. But Tet McMillan is on the board. And I
Mm.
know that they are two different players, but Tet has the production.
Mm-hmm.
He has the profile. People say, "Oh, separation," but like he's still been producing even with his lack of separation. He would fix the red zone offense pretty much immediately. Teams won't be able to just key in on CeeDee Lamb because we have a 6'4" wide receiver that's ready to jump up and catch any contested pass you throw to him. And I just feel like Matthew Gold is going to be great in between he's going to be good 2020. He's going to be able to get those 5 yards, 6 yards. And I think that 4.29 speed is a little misleading because there's people who went frame by frame during his 40, and they said he ran more like a 4.37,
That's
which is
still
still
pretty
fast.
damn good.
That's still fast. But that's why when people turn on that film, they be like, I don't see that 4.29 speed at the combine. But I still like Matthew Gordon. I just rather have Tet in my opinion. I just feel like he has the production. He has the number one receiver kind of thing, but I think he'll be great in the number 2 role. I feel like the way they would utilize him would be very good in short yard and red zone situations, which is a huge problem for the Cowboys offense last year. But I wouldn't hate this pick. I'd be pretty happy with this. All right. Will Johnson for the Dolphins.
Over Jahdae Barron, stop it. Stop it.
Will Johnson decided to not run during this pro day or workout, and they said he's been in training. He's been running like 4.5s. No, I'm sorry, you can't be a top CB running 4.5 like you. The Richard Sherman era of CB play is over. Oh, you need athletes out there because these wide receivers are getting faster and faster, and Will Johnson has great technique. But the pick makes sense because they shopping Jalen Ramsey. So I guess Colston Leveland to the Colts. Don't hate the pick. I guess you want to get Anthony Richardson some more help offensively, and you want to get a guy that can run block as well. Don't hate it.
No, I don't hate it either.
Falcons go Mike Green. They definitely need the edge help. Mike Green, even though he got them allegations, I'm not sure what's going on with that. But
I think it's probably taken care of, maybe.
Yeah, I think that they think it's cleared up, got some clarifications on some stuff. So Mike Green, he is a good edge rusher. So don't hate it. Jahdae Barron to the Cardinals.
They do need a corner.
That is true. Jahdae Barron is my number 1 CB in this class outside of Travis Hunter, depending on what he does. But good pick. Walter Nolan. We were just talking about DTs before the stream started. Good pick for the Bengals. They definitely need to beef up that interior because
he is small though for a D tackle.
Yes, he is. Like he's definitely a
398.
He's definitely more three tech ish. Oh man, he's just a kind of a smaller 1 tech even. But good pick for the Bengals. Defense. It's great. I have no idea who this guy is. I mean, I haven't watched any.
They do need a guard. They do need a guard.
They do need a guard. So hey, I thought they would go Tet or something here. Tet is still on the board, which is crazy. Bro.
That is true.
We're about to be in the 20s, and Tet hasn't been picked. That's insane. Nick Imanawari.
They do need
safety. South Carolina. They got Antoine Winfield Jr. I still think they got him. I guess. I mean, yeah. I mean, who else could they really? Maybe edge, possibly, but no. You got Byron. No, you got. You
still have Vita Vea, obviously, as your D tackle.
You got Elijah Cansey, who can play interior and go out and play D end. So I guess mid safety.
I guess, yeah.
Secondary, yeah.
Again, I don't know too much. Yeah. So, Marion Hampton. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of Marion Hampton to the Broncos. It seems like they want to solidify that running game. You lose what's his name to the Cowboys. I mean, he wasn't that good anyway.
Yeah,
he wasn't that good anyway. I think they want to make it a lot easier for Bo Nix, so I can see them going that direction.
Yeah, would it be a bad pick? Honestly, you might be able to trade back if you don't mind anything, honestly. But hey,
Yeah. Derek Harmon
Derek
at
Harmon,
21.
that's another D
Uh,
tackle we was talking about. For the
I think
Steelers, don't hate it.
I don't hate it either, but they need offensive line help, man. That offensive line was
Yes,
atrocious
they
last
they
year.
have invested quite a bit of capital in O line, so maybe they're banking on those dudes to develop. But I mean, Keanu Benton has been a little bit underwhelming. So I guess getting a guy like Derek Harmon wouldn't hurt.
He would
Chargers
fit that
go,
system really well.
yes, exactly. Chargers go Emeka Egbuka. Another wide receiver who primarily played slot for the most part in college. You want to pair him up with Lad McConkey and Quentin Johnston. Don't necessarily hate it because I do believe Emeka Egbuka can play anywhere on the field. So you could keep Lad in the slot mostly, and then all that stuff. Still not very fast team
No, not
offensively,
really.
but some help is better than none, I suppose. So
And
not
he
a
could
bad thing.
catch. He can catch.
Oh, the
I'm
Packers.
assuming they will put Emeka Ibuka in the outside
Yeah, and have
and have Lad
Lad
at the
play in the
slot.
slot. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, there
okay.
go your team, Shamar Stewart.
Shamar Stewart, bro. The the RAS guy. you
Ross
know,
Demon.
yeah. So I mean, listen, Shamar Stewart, y'all know how I feel about Shamar Stewart. I understand when you turn on the tape, he flashes. But again, I am a production guy and he has 1.5 sack. That just won't do it for me. Now I understand. I've been listening to a couple podcasts and they say, well, Green Bay will do something different than Texas A&M when he comes into their system. But I'm just under the belief that no matter what, if they weren't productive in college, chances are they're not going to be productive in the league. There are some outliers, right? The guy from Houston
The new hunter.
Texans, right? The Neil Hunter and Rashawn Gary at certain point. I wasn't a believer in Rashawn Gary. I'm like, this dude,
Michael
man,
Parsons, I think.
he's not producing at all in Michigan. Why are we drafting him so high? And he became a decent player for us, but not a Pro Bowl player. He did make the Pro Bowl mostly because he was an alternate. But regardless, I just want somebody that can produce for us instantly, and I believe he's more of a project than a guy that you can plug and play and he'll be ready to go. This seems more like Lucas Van Ness situation where he didn't have a whole lot of production in college, but the measurables are there. And for me, I think I would rather go a different edge. I would go Donovan Izaraku over Shamar Stewart because Donovan Izaraku, he is one of the league leaders in sacks in 2024 in college. And also remember, our our DC was the former head coach of Boston College, and he coached Donovan Izaraku, and Donovan Izaraku fits perfectly in the 4-3 scheme of the Packers. So I would go Donovan Izaraku over Shamar Stewart. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Packers select Shamar Stewart. I would be pissed, but it wouldn't surprise me. So it is what it is, man. It's either
I
I
think
keep
they do
hearing
solid.
Michael Williams or Shamar
Oh, Lord.
Stewart. God,
I'd
please,
rather
please
have
don't.
Shamar Stewart. I'm gonna be honest with you. If it's
I'll
between him and
probably
Michael Williams, I'd give me Shamar Stewart.
yeah. I I don't want either of them, but regardless, it is. We'll get to my top five
Right,
guys that I want.
right. Next
So
two, we got Donovan Jackson. Good pick. Vikings could use some interior help in the O line. Because we also had that non-look once Darisaw went out, which the interior wasn't holding up in his absence. Even though I know he plays left tackle, but still, the O line is
okay.
about continuity and stuff. So
Also
uh,
heard they may
they
go
did
edge
sign
rusher.
some. Yeah,
I
they
also
could
heard they
get
may
another
go edge rusher.
edge to pair with Dallas Turner because he didn't have that great of a season last year.
No, nope, not at all.
Michael
Good
Williams
run
wouldn't
stopping
be.
team.
Yeah, good ones, but yeah, they definitely need some pass rush or something. All right, Houston goes Ted McMillan. They go BPA. So they'll have Christian Kirk, Nico Collins. That's very interesting receiver lineup right here. They need offensive line. I'm not sure what wide receiver does for them besides give them more opportunities to get sacked. I mean, like, look at all these weapons we got. The CJ Stroud is on his back in like 3 seconds. So I don't know. I'm not sure about this one. Rams go Maxwell Hairston.
They do need
I'm not
cornerback help.
That is true. I'm not too familiar with this game. I haven't watched any film or anything. But
He is an athletic freak.
okay.
I know that for sure. He's an athletic freak. He's kind of a project as well. He's not as technically sound as maybe a Will Johnson and a Jade Barron, but he's an athletic freak and his ceiling is very high.
Okay, got it.
Like, look, 4.28.
4.2. Oh yeah.
Yeah, 4.28. Like, dude. I think he had maybe
6 interceptions. 13.
I think he had like a 39 or 38-inch vertical as well. Like, dude is an athletic freak, man.
Okay, cool. Malachi Starks for the Ravens. I like the Ravens' approach most of the time with going just the best player on the board, but I don't think Malachi Starks helps them in the areas that they were weak at and the reasons why they lost in the playoffs. I feel like you need more weapons. I don't know why you couldn't go a Luther Bird in here. If you feel
I would
like
trade
your
down
culture,
if I'm going.
I mean, yeah, but then people got to trade up. I mean, the pickings get a little slim in this area. So, but I guess you want to pair a good safety with Kyle Hamilton, have solidified that secondary, which the safeties weren't safety clashing. No, safety play was a problem because who they had at safety that was horrible.
Was it Marcus Williams?
Yeah, I think it was Marcus Williams.
Marcus Williams, yeah,
he was
terrible.
So yeah, honestly, not a bad pick. If it was a need, get a good player. But I feel like there's on the pecking order. I feel like getting more weapons offensively is on higher priority. But it is what it is. Detroit goes Mykel Williams.
Yes. I'll say this.
I'm not a big fan of Mykel Williams, but Aiden Hutchinson is really good, and pairing him up with him, I think there's bound to do some type of damage. So I don't hate this pick.
I'll say this. Mykel Williams, what I've heard, he's good at setting the edge and he's good at stopping the run.
Very good run defender.
The problem is the pass rush ability. Now with Aiden Hutchinson, it's going to make life so much easier for him. So I could see him. That's the range where I feel like it's appropriate for him to get drafted. I just don't want him on the Packers because we need pass rushing ability. Like, we need sacks, and he's just not going to be able to generate that for us because we don't have an Aiden Hutchinson. So I think him going to the Lions makes sense.
Where he's not expected to be the number one guy.
No, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, that's a good fit in my opinion. Getting toward the end of the draft. Oh, the trade. We got a trade here. Browns trade up to get 29 and Commanders trade down. Which honestly, depending on seeing what's left on the board, it makes sense for the Commanders because really who's left that you feel comfortable taking in this position that's going to be a significant need fill or anything like that. So, but they go and draft Jackson Dart. This is a Browns move. I think Jackson Dart is terrible. Not terrible, but he's just not that good in my opinion. I don't trust Ole Miss QBs all like that because the system that they run doesn't really translate well to the NFL as long as like Tennessee QBs. But, I mean, you trade back up to get a QB. You only give up 2 first.
2? No. That's no
2
way.
first to get Jackson Dart? I don't know.
No. They gave up the 33rd pick and the 67th.
That's not 2/3? I'm 2
seconds? I thought my fault. I thought you said 2 first. My bad. You're right. Yeah,
they gave up 2 seconds to get Jackson Dart. And so they will be picking at 128, which is, I believe, that's like the 4th round, ain't it?
Yeah, something like that.
For Jackson, nah, I'm cool. I don't like that pick at all. I heard about Trey Amos.
Mm-hmm.
Heard he's a good corner. What did he say? Oh no, that's I was reading it. Okay. Yeah, CB. They got rid of Kyrie Blom, so who was started for them last year. So a good pick. Josh Connerly Jr. I've heard about him. I'm surprised they don't go like I'm surprised they Luther Burden still on the board.
They do need offensive line help. Remember they traded I know he's a guard, but they traded Thuney, right?
Yes, they did trade
They
Thuney.
traded Thuney to the Bears. They're gonna need some
Yeah.
offensive line help.
Yeah, so yeah, it makes sense. But Thuney, he was a guard. He's a talent. Unless they plan on moving him to guard.
I do remember during the season
He did play some tackle.
I believe they had to shift the line because there was some injuries. So them going tackle makes sense because you got to remember, Jawan Taylor is, my God, he is bad.
He's shocking.
Yeah, so they need to go offensive tackle so they can move him. Maybe they feel like Jawan Taylor will be better suited playing guard.
Yeah. Eagles go Jihad Kim. This is the lowest I've seen him mock.
Right. I feel like he would go top. I've seen him going like 15,
like 17. Yeah.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe that is a possibility because he's an off-ball linebacker, and teams feel like off-ball linebackers aren't as coveted in this draft because they're looking at, look, we need guys that can get after the quarterback. So maybe teams are looking at it like, yo, we don't need another off-ball linebacker. We need a guy that can get at the quarterback or set the edge. And Jihad Campbell is not that guy.
Yeah. All right. This is the last pick we're going to do. Last two picks.
You know what? Let's go second round. Let's see what the second round.
Second round? Okay, cool. Second round.
Yeah, let's go second
round. We're going to try to go a little quicker.
I was about to say, I was like, hold up. Donovan Izaraku did not get picked. And I don't think he slips to 33. I believe he goes sooner than that. But if that happens, I could see why the Commanders traded because I would literally go Donovan Izaraku at 33. That's a perfect pick.
Honestly, there has been some rumblings about that because someone who covers the team, Ben Standig, he works for The Athletic, I believe he's been saying things about Donovan Izaraku for the Commanders could be a thing. So, yeah.
I would be shocked if he slips to 33.
Giants go Tyler Shuck. Man, let me tell you something.
Whoa.
I don't know where this hype came from with this dude. I don't see it. I really just don't. I've seen him make some boneheaded plays, and it's like, I guess, man, burn a second round pick on him. Shoot, that's what you want to do. Jaden Higgins, not too.
I've heard some good things. I've heard some good things about Jaden Higgins. I don't necessarily know his game entirely, but I've heard that he's pretty decent. He's going to be a good player in the league. So
cool. Oh, there goes Luther Burden to Jacksonville.
Burden right there.
Not a bad replacement for Christian Kirk. So if he can buy into the system or whatever, and hey, Josh Simmons. All right, now I know why he's falling this far because he's hurt. This is a good pick. I like Josh Simmons. If he was healthy, he would definitely go top 20 in my opinion. So yeah, good pick. Kenneth Grant. Oh, another.
I forgot about Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, I forgot about Kenneth Grant too.
That's a home run pick.
Pair him up with
Milton Williams. That's a great pick.
And Derek Brown. I'm not Derek Brown. They drafted a D tackle some years ago. Maybe they got rid of him. I don't know, but. I think he might have. Not a bad pick.
No, that's not a bad pick.
Travion Henderson with the Bears. Okay. So, not a bad pick. Ben Johnson likes to run the football. They get their Jahmyr Gibbs light and Travion Henderson. Not a bad pick. When are you going to address defense or offensive line? I guess. But more weapons for Caleb Williams. Azariah Thomas, CB. Florida State, 40, not a bad pick. Bears go Nick Scorton. I've heard about him as well.
It's not bad.
No JPJ. Oh, two more picks later. There you go. Elijah Arroyo, tight end. Over here with Fannin is very interesting. Or LeSherill Finn not in this draft class. Maybe I'm mistaken. But I swore he was. Royo, Jets get a tight end. Conklin is getting up there. Okay, makes sense.
James Pierce Jr.
James
That
Pierce
sounds about
Jr.
right. San Francisco. That sounds about right.
San Francisco would take a flight on him, even with the character concerns and everything. Cowboys go Siobhan Revelle. We do need. I like Siobhan Revelle's game. Good man corner. But I would definitely try to go running back here.
Yeah.
Like, Judkins here would make sense, or a not Sampson, Todd Brooks maybe. Like, I don't know, some type of running back here. I don't mind corner. We do need a corner, but yeah, Carson Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, linebacker UCLA.
Makes sense. Benjamin Morrison, CB. Heard good things about him. Falcons do need some corner help, I believe. Outside of AJ Terrell, they don't really have. D. Alfred isn't very good. I think it's D.
They need help everywhere.
Yeah.
Literally, they need help everywhere. So it don't matter what position.
The Cardinals makes sense. They lost Will Hernandez in the offseason, so makes sense. There's Alexander for the Dolphins.
Yeah, sure. They need D-line help. Yeah.
Xavier Watts, safety.
Bengals, yeah.
Yeah, they let go of Jesse Bates, so
their safeties.
Safety.
Their defense is trash.
Stone is terrible.
So. Yeah, literally.
They go guard for Seattle. There's the offensive line we was looking for earlier in the draft. So
let's see.
Wait, no, didn't they take guard in the first round? Yeah, they did.
Seattle. Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah, I don't see that. Maybe they're like really trying to address the offensive line. If that's the case, got to double back. Mason Taylor, tight end.
Mason Taylor. Okay.
Okay.
I guess. They go Jack Beck.
Hey, I'll say this. This is where the Packers would probably trade up to try to get him, because I think the Packers really. I've been hearing a lot about him potentially going to the Packers, and I think he could play the X receiver. And I've been hearing that he could possibly step in right away and be a starting level wide receiver on the Packers. So I think the Packers would probably try to trade up if they feel like the Seattle Seahawks would draft him. They probably trade up to try to get him.
All right, Darian Porter. I have no idea who that guy is. I'll go wide receiver Jalen Noel. I have heard about him though.
I never heard of him. I ain't gonna lie.
He is he makes a lot of tough catches. That's pretty much all I can really say about him until I watch more about him. Chargers go Judkins. I don't hate the pick. Not a lot of speed still for the Chargers, but hey, Savion Williams. Now this is another receiver I've heard quite a bit about. Savion Williams, Buffalo, another bigger receiver. Who can catch contested passes. So let's see how that works with Josh Allen. Panthers, they go off the tackle Ozzie. I have not heard about anything about this guy, but if addressing offensive line in the second round, not a bad idea. Texans go offensive line here. Anthony Belton, I heard a little bit about him in passing, but not too much. Ravens go edge, JT to a mile. I'm not even going to try to box that. But they do need some edge help. Daffy Owe isn't great, and Calvin Noy did produce a bit, but he's getting up there in age.
Yeah, he is. Yep.
They got Marcus Mbow, not to be confused with Mimbow. Mbow. Not bad. Beef up the offensive line. Commanders go CB. Jacob Parrish. Hasn't heard much about him, but it's a need. They definitely need CB. All right. Bills go.
They go edge.
Yeah. Makes sense. They got Joey Bosa. Might not get another guy in here. All right.
Kansas City goes Landon Jackson. Edge. Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
And Eagles go Kevin Winston Jr. Don't know who that is, but he's a safety. So
Safety Penn State.
yep.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, I have no clue who they are. I'm being completely honest. I'm like, once it gets to the second round, I'm like, who are these dudes? Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's pretty much on the mock draft. I mean, I guess again, this is we'll see. Mel Kiper, he knows a lot of things. The Shador thing, I think that seems like Saints Shador seems like a perfect match in my opinion. I hope the Packers don't select Shamar Stewart. I would go Donovan Izaraku. I'm not letting Donovan Izaraku slip. Like I know his measurables aren't consistently what the Packers are looking for, but he still has really good measurables for an edge rusher. The dude has incredible. I think his width, I think his arm length is like 34. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like he has an array of pass rush moves. Like you could plug and play him. He'll be a good pass rusher for you. So I will be saddened if we go Shamar Stewart over Donovan Izaraku. It's whatever.
All right.
It's whatever.
Let's get into our top 5 wish list slash players we want our teams to draft. I'm gonna let you go first.
Me? All right, all right.
Top 5
I'll
picks for the Packers. Y'all pick at 22, correct?
23.
23,
All right.
23. All right.
So let me get my list together. So number one, listen, I'm a guy that I want to give Jordan Love as many pieces as possible because I feel like the reason why we lost against the Eagles wasn't necessarily our defense. I believe it was the offense, and it's because our receivers are just not good. They drop a lot of passes. They're not always separating that well. And you put a lot of onus, you put a lot on the shoulders of Jordan Love to improvise, create something out of nothing. When that shouldn't be the case. I believe Matthew Golden should be the Packers' number one priority in the first round because he does everything the Packers need, which is he's an X receiver. He separates. He has great hands. He can run the route tree. He would be a perfect fit for the Packers. He's not the tallest. He's 5'11", but he's fast. He's athletic. He has great hands. He could play in any weather that he could play in cold weather. He could play in warm weather. He could play in windy weather. It does not matter. Now, he played in Texas. I understand it's really warm in Texas. But, he had to go out in the Big Ten. Well, not big. Well, he did play Michigan. But he had to go out in certain places and play, and he was fantastic. Now, the production isn't on the level of a Emeka Ibuka, where he's getting like over 1,000 yards, like double-digit touchdowns. But when you watch the film, you see Matthew Golden's capability. And this dude right here is the number one receiver, in my opinion, in the NFL draft, and he would fit perfectly for the Packers. Now, number two, I'm going receiver again. I'm going Ted McMillan. I believe his size, his speed at his size, and his catch radius is what I like most about Ted McMillan, and he will bring a lot to the table for the Packers if he would be selected, especially since Christian Watson, who is 6'3", 6'4", our speed guy, he's going to be out for majority of the season because of, I think it was either Achilles or ACL injury. So you need to figure out a way to fill that void. And I believe Tech McMillan could do that. Now, he's not the speedster. Obviously, he's not the speedster of a Christian Watson, but put a guy in that's an X receiver that is being comped to like a Drake London, a Mike Evans. We need somebody like that because we don't have anybody on that roster with that capability of potentially being a number one guy. And I believe Ted McMillan in that offense could potentially be a number one guy if he's locked in. When I mean by if he's locked in, he's watching film. So that's always a concern. But put him in the Packers situation, they gonna get him right. That's how I feel about it. I ain't gonna lie. After what I heard about James Pierce Jr. from Brian, I'm gonna have to scratch him out. So instead,
Well,
I'm gonna go.
what did you hear? What did you hear? I don't think we told them what I
So
kind of
I'll
heard
let you
rumblings
say it. I
about.
don't want to put words in your mouth,
Okay.
so I'll let you say it. What did you hear about James Pierce Jr.?
So what I've heard about James Pierce Jr. from a guy that has been, my my day job is doing. I'm a producer for a sports show. I'm not gonna say which one because I ain't about to dox me. But he's well connected around the league, and from what I've heard from him, he's saying that James Pierce Jr.'s character issues are he takes plays off, and teams do not know if he loves football. They say he has effort issues and things of that nature. He can look disinterested at times, and it's not a really good look if you're looking for. A lot of teams care about that kind of stuff, so that's why you see him falling lower and lower in the draft. Like the one we just looked at, the mock draft, he had him going all the way to the 49ers in the second round. So yeah, that kind of thing. How is that? How would that? Green Bay doesn't really look for guys like that. They're very culture heavy team and getting guys that buy into the system and all that. You wouldn't be able to guarantee that with the James Pierce Jr. for a team like Green Bay. So it makes sense why they would pass on him in that regard.
Yeah. So with that being said, I will probably go as my third Donovan Isaraku, edge rusher out of Boston College. This guy was one of the league leaders in sacks in 2024. He has an array of pass rush moves, very finesse oriented. We already talked about his arm length and how it's very freakish. He has the measurables to be a good pass rusher in the NFL. I believe he would add a lot of value to this Packers team. And his former coach is the DC of the Packers. So I think he would fit perfectly in the scheme. He understands the scheme. He understands what our DC wants from him, and I think he would add a lot of value to this team. Number 4, I would go Derek Harmon. This guy right here, man. I've been hearing Walter Nolan. I've been hearing Kenneth Grant. But Derek Harmon, to me, he's more of a floor guy than a high ceiling guy. I've been hearing that he doesn't have one great trait, but he's so good at everything. So what I'm saying is that he doesn't have that A trait, like A plus A trait, but he has a lot of B pluses in his arsenal. And what I love about him, he can pass rush and he can stop the run. So you can move him around. He's versatile as a D tackle, and that's what I love. I feel like in order to be a great defense, you need to have versatility. And I believe with the Packers, this will be a great pick because he can rush the passer and he can stop the run. He can make everybody on that D line better. He has an array of different moves. He doesn't he's not the flashiest. He's not going to dance a lot. He's not going to do all these different things. He's not going to pop off the screen like a Chris Jones or Aaron Donald type player. But he is incredibly productive. He is 6'5", ran a 4.95 and is 313. And his arm length, I think, is like 34 inches. Like, the dude has the measurables, man. He has the measurables. He never looks like he's getting pushed around in the line of scrimmage. Like, he always holds his own in the line of scrimmage, which is great because that lets me know that, number one, he can withstand just different things from the offensive line, and he's never seems like he gets rattled. I think one of the concerns, he doesn't always finish plays all that well, and I think another thing is that he's a little stiff at times. So when he has a lot of pressures, I think he's like top 2 in defensive tackle, interior defensive lineman pressures. He had, I think it was 5 sacks last year, and he had over 60 pressures, which is insane. But one thing I've heard is that his lack of speed and his tightness, and like he's kind of stiff, it hurts him when he's trying to pursue sacks. So he'll beat his man, but he won't always be able to get to the quarterback because he's not incredibly explosive at times, and he's kind of stiff. He can miss the quarterback at times because of that, but he's incredibly productive. Like he'll beat his matchup. He'll never get beat a lot of times. Like he'll never be dominated. He'll never have a lot of negative plays. But he's not that elite level prospect that
he's no Jalen Carter.
Absolutely not. And if he had an elite trait, then he would be going in the top 10. But he's really good at almost everything. He doesn't have a whole lot of flaws in his game. He's really a complete defensive lineman. He's an interior defensive lineman. So I would think he would day one be a very good, impactful player for the Packers in general. So I would go Derek Harmon at 4. And number 5, because James Pierce Jr. is out of this scenario, I have to like rethink a little bit because we need pass rush and we need a wide receiver, but we also do need a corner. So I would say Maxwell Harrison would be number 5. I wouldn't love it, but I kind of understand it if the Packers are saying, all right, Jair, we're going to have to trade you because we're not going to give you the money that you're requiring. He's injury prone. I've been hearing Jair Alexander in the news a lot about trade packages. So I could see Maxwell Harrison being number 5 for me because, Jair, he's getting up there in age and he's making too much money and missing a lot of games. So I would go him at 5. So that's my list. I'll repeat it again. Matthew Golden, Ted McMillan, Donovan Izaraku, Derek Harmon, Maxwell Harrison. So those are my top 5 prospects.
Okay. Not a bad list. Not a bad list. It's a little difficult the later you pick in the rounds because, especially in the draft pads, that's not really deep per se as far as top end talent. So you're kind of like having to put borderline second round guys on the list. So, but that's a good list. Makes sense for the needs for your team and everything. So not mad at it. Not mad at it. Now for mine, hold on 1 second. Okay. All right. My list. It's going to be pretty. It's not going to be super extra. I'm not about to pull out some names no one ever heard of. But picking 12, it's very much a possibility all of these guys will be available or could be available at where we're picking. So I'm going to go for number 1 on the list, Ashton Jeanty. He's the best running back in the class, hands down. And I think he would help the Cowboys tremendously as far because we need running back. Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders not cutting it in big 2025. So if we could get Ashton Jeanty in the first round, I would be doing jumping jacks and backflips in my bedroom. Number 2 on the list, I'm going Ted McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona. I mean, in my opinion, unless you count Travis Hunter as a wide receiver, Ted McMillan is my number 1 receiver in the whole entire class. And he has the production. He's able to play outside, which is great. We could keep CD going in and out of the slot. And people say, he doesn't get them a separation, but he would instantly fix our red zone offense because he's a big physical kind of guy. He'll go up and get jump balls, and he doesn't play soft, in my opinion. So I'm going Ted McMillan at 2. 3 would be Matthew Golden, wide receiver for Texas. He was on your list around this range as well. Not straight up Matthew Golden, quick dude, runs clean routes, gets a lot of separation. His catch radius is pretty wide for his measurables, and he doesn't drop a lot of passes. In those last 4 games of the season for Texas, he really showed up and stepped up and became like the number 1 receiver for them. And, I like he has dog in him. He's kind of a local guy. He played at Texas. So, and it seems the Cowboys organization likes him as well. He's been visiting. He's been an official 30 visit. It seems like he wants to play for the Cowboys. So, hey, I'll take the Matthew Golden. You'll be able to you definitely play outside. And he's going to do well at it because he's just that good. 3rd and 5, I trust the ball. I could trust Matthew Golden to get some separation, get a quick little completion. So, hey, 4 on my list. This is where things get a little different. 4 on my list would probably be Mason Graham. Mason Graham, in my opinion, he's the best D tackle in the entire class. Cal's like, oh my gosh, another Michigan. Turn on Mason Graham's film. If he failed to 12 and you took him and we got wiped out of offensive options, listen, you should not be upset at that kind of pick because Mason Graham is the real deal. He's no Mozzie Smith. Mason Graham has real production. He's going to get after the QB. He's good in the run game. You would not be upset at that pick at number 12. Fifth for the fifth option. This is a little tough, but if I had to go number 5, I would probably pick Jody Barron. I'll go Jody Barron because we do need corner help. Trayvon Diggs, we don't know when he's coming back. DaRon Bland, we know we got DaRon Bland in, but corner is a sneaky need for the Cowboys, and I wouldn't hate getting, in my opinion, the number 1, number 2 corner in the draft at 12. So yeah, Jody Barron, it would make sense. I mean, if obviously some crazy stuff would have to happen for him to be our best option at 12. But if push came to shove and we had to pick him, even if we had to trade back a little bit, I don't know if he gets past Miami, but if we had to trade back, get him, hey, I wouldn't hate it. So my list again, Ashton Genty is 1, Ted McMillan is 2, Matthew Golden 3, Mason Graham 4, and Jody Barron 5.
Okay. All right. And
I was thinking about putting linemen like a tackle at 5, like an M'Bow, or maybe even Kelvin Banks Jr., possibly Will Campbell. But I don't feel like they would go line at 12, considering the fact that we still have Tyler Guyton who has to develop. And we did sign some linemen in the offseason. So I think they're going to try to rely on those dudes to develop a little bit before having to go line 3 years in a row in the first round, especially when we need weapons on offense. So I didn't put linemen on my list because I don't think they would go linemen in this class, especially at 12.
Yeah, I think Mason Graham, I saw a chart where Mason Graham, in terms of like interior defensive lineman pass rush run rate, he's like at the top. Yeah. And also stopping the run as well. So he's a dominant force in the interior D lineman. So it's a good list to me. Yeah, it's a good list to me. I can't really refute anything you just said. The Cowboys, they definitely need receiver help. They definitely need a running back. So it makes sense to me. You know, Dak can't do everything by himself. He can't be Superman, even though you're paying him $60 million. I mean, you can't be Superman. We saw that. Saw what transpired with that. So nothing to refute on that, Mark. You did a pretty good job. Hopefully none of those picks happen. I would hate for any of those players to go to the Cowboys. Yeah, I would hate for any of those players.
We walking out of here with something. We either getting, at the worst, we getting Matthew Golden, and I will be a happy camper. If we somehow get washed out of Genty, Tet, and Golden, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself.
Go offensive lineman. Go offensive lineman. Go M'Bow.
Hey, tackle 1 at 12. Cinema. I ain't gonna be mad at it, but
okay.
Give me a weapon. We need a weapon, or trade back. Shoot, if you trade back to the late 20s and take Amari and Hampton, I won't lose no sleep.
Okay, all right. Well, that is our list. We will see what transpired this Thursday. I cannot wait. Might even do a live stream. I'm still thinking about that. Might do a live stream. Who never knows? But stay tuned to that. But make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials as well. Check out our other channel, Courtside Podcast NBA. We just did a live stream. Check that out. Link will be in the description of all that stuff. And also check out our Twitter. We post the links to that as well if you can't find it. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week on a Courtside Podcast. Peace.
Salute.
Salute, man. Salute.